Welcome to the Mantra Dad podcast. My guest today is Maronda Rice. Welcome, Maronda.
Thank you, Adam. It's nice to be here.
So excited to welcome you here. How long have you been on Kauai?
Well, I've lived on Kauai 3 times, and I think it totals up to about 7 years. But I've been in the islands since off and on since '72.
Whoa, awesome. And what kinds of offerings have you been offering here?
Well, over the course of time, I've been a women's empowerment choir director. I still am doing that. I have done my hypnotherapy practice. I have done my hypnobirthing, which moved into sacred birthing, educational classes and developments of various aspects of that. Here, I've done something called Mother Song, which is a multicultural sing-along for families with babies. Yeah, I produced a number of musical productions, so that kind of covers it.
Have you always been musically inclined?
Yeah, yes, but very contracted growing up. But I had a father who was a professional singer and jazz pianist, and so I come by it, naturally, but it was something very scary for me.
Oh, what do you mean by that? What do you mean? Why was it scary?
Well, when I feel into it now, it felt. I remember being in a first grade chorus and being asked to sing a solo, and everything in my body shook. So it was kind of traumatic. But as time went on and it continued to be such a challenge, it was like, if I'm heard, I'm going to be killed. It was that severe. So,
Kind of a lot to ask for a first grader, don't you think?
well, it depends on how outgoing or internal they might be, or what might be influencing them, I would say.
So, what a progression from being stone cold in locked in fear to now the leader of a women's empowerment choir. So, how has that been for you? What kinds of transformations have you gone through as the leader?
Well, just discovering that I was a director and a leader, and that I dance when I do that, um, was very fun, and that it was so natural for me. And then to see my own healing coming through that, and my own joy factor, and my own, yeah, expansion through that context, and then making it clear that it was a vehicle for anyone, any woman to step into. It wasn't auditional. It was about healing the fifth chakra, the throat chakra, around being heard. So I've been in the presence of many heroic women that are stepping beyond limitations and contraction and making beautiful music.
Oh, that's so awesome. I'm wondering about the throat chakra being cut off. How does that happen? Is it because of maybe a wound or trauma that makes us feel like we need to close down?
I think it's that, and I think it's cultural. There are cultures that sing when they do everything, in this world, and this is a culture where um, everyone, and especially women, are told to be quiet, put in the background kind of thing. But I think there's a lot of trauma around being heard, and I think it's inherited year generation after generation. And if you believe in past lives, there's a lot of context to go even much further into that.
So we're coming into this life and we have some, I don't know, I guess issues or events that happen that cause trauma that in a way we need to work out, or we're here to feel empowered to work these out. And would you say that one of the ways of working that out is to express yourself vocally?
Absolutely. And the intention around Voice Weavers, my women's choir, is to create safe space, confidentiality, so the whole uh, concept of creating a space where women can open even one little toe at a time. Yeah,
It
that's
must
very
be really
important.
beautiful to see the progression of women from when they start to as they continue.
Yeah, yeah, it's a beautiful heart opening.
Nice. So, as a man that also wants to open up my heart and
Mm-hmm.
open up my voice, I know that there's the Sacred Earth Choir here,
Mm-hmm.
and definitely want and will be getting involved with at least going to sing.
Mm-hmm.
I just have some friends that have really talked about how wonderful it is to perform or sing and just sing these beautiful songs that have deeper meaning than just the normal radio songs. So what is it about the music that opens the heart and opens the voice?
Well, it takes me to the uh, cultures that use mantra or spiritual practices, the yogis. I especially go there when I talk about hypnobirthing. But as far as it's a vehicle for rewriting old templates, old thought patterns. So I always tell the new women coming into my choirs that there's going to be a side effect. When you least expect it and most need it, one of these songs is going to be singing in your head. And so it might be, I will be gentle with myself, or that kind of woman makes the world go round, something that is going to nourish them and give them an opportunity to change a deep thought form.
Mm. I love that. So it's through the music that the openings happen spontaneously.
Yeah, but there's, of course, their intention is there. And that's true of everything I do. Is creating a space for people to expand, um, heal themselves. It's all about their intention that they bring to it. I'm just creating the space, and I've got the material, um, but it's because it's their intention to open and to heal and whatever
Mm.
that things happen.
Beautiful. So the Mother Song
Mm.
is because my daughter has been involved with Mother Song with Amy and Jeremy
Oh,
here
wonderful.
for good portion, and I've gone and Denise has gone, and I almost always cry when I go there, which shows me that there's something happening within me,
Mm-hmm.
and I love to witness all the children and the babies and the moms. It's just a beautiful sacred space, I would say. And um, yeah, the songs. Where do these songs come from? And you said multicultural, so I know that there's some African songs and
Mm-hmm.
some um, Earth Mother songs and medicine songs, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell me about maybe some of the origins of these songs?
Well, I've been a song collector for going on 30 years for choral purposes, and I saw how that was. In the first one I stepped into, one of those choirs that I stepped into, I saw how that was happening, and I also saw this isn't an isolated thing. This is happening all over first California, and then I realized this is happening globally. So these are medicine circles um, that are everywhere now in lots of different flavors. Where they come from the women that step in the circles, and then the whole idea of you know grasping onto a song is not there. It's sharing, so it goes out there, and I've just collected them over the years as Joya Winwood, who is the grandmother of Mother Song, who lives in the Santa Cruz area. Um, Same with her. She didn't found Mother Song, but she took it over after a while, and I'm not remember the name of the woman that started it, but it just happens organically. Somebody comes into the choir, I've got a song, or
Mm.
Singing Alive comes to Kauai, and there's songs to be gathered. And you can go online now that people are so generous with their songs. You hear about a song leader or a songwriter, and they offer all of their music online with the music, the words, even the musical scores, and so it's not difficult to find it. But mostly it comes through hearing something and oh, I want that.
Hmm. Yeah, I know my daughter continues to sing these songs like "I will be gentle with myself,"
Yes.
and I love singing these songs too. And it's just like, as a man, I think it's important to be gentle with myself as well. And
Absolutely.
I wanted to touch on masculinity, femininity. Um, Stream came on the podcast and he said it makes you more masculine in a way if you worship the feminine. If we all understand that we all come from one source and we're in devotion to that source. And the idea of like more masculine or less masculine is kind of this, I feel like an old paradigm like you were speaking about. So I guess for me, I want to know from a woman's perspective how to be divine masculine, or what does it mean to embody the divine masculine in relation to the feminine?
First of all, know thyself. Find, go through the layers of all the imprinting and what's under there. And that's where the balance is, the masculine and feminine. And then in the context of that, I feel like all been male and female embodied over a long, long time. So we have access to the good, the bad, the ugly, the divine in the context of all of that. So it's exploring, personal exploration, again, holding the intention to do that. Stream has been such a beautiful reflection to me of somebody who embraces the divine feminine so beautifully and honors and wants to support the feminine as the feminine in all of us is being called up now after such a long time of being held back.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I love everything you just said. First of all, I really heard that. And one of the reasons I started this podcast was to have the right relationship, with the divine feminine as a man in a man's body, having this equipment, but also having, the capacity to embrace all and be truly in a unity type of world where there are no differences, and the bodies that we're wearing at any given time really doesn't define us. So I feel like it's time and to kind of further the conversation and open up and about what does this new paradigm mean. And you were speaking a little bit about, I guess, the patriarchy or this overburdening of the masculine energy to control or to be destructive. And how do you feel like, do you feel that that's coming to an end? And how do we go about easing into a new paradigm?
Well, I do believe the balance is coming. I do believe that since I was born, there has been, and certainly before, but 1950 was when I was born. And so I was right there in the 60s and 70s, and there was just clearly a wave of a generation, within a generation, of people who could see through the the um, the falsities, the masks, the non-integrity, that which was non-sustainable. There was just, and so that set that whole population on a search, and um, so I've lost your question, the essence of your question. Do I think it's changed? Yes, it is definitely changing. Um, and it's becoming more and more globally expressed, obvious, visible, spoken about, fed. And as the person that I am, and my faith and trust that I'm here as a part of that, um, I have ways of watching that progression and supporting that progression and just continually learning more. The how is within us. to me, it's all remembrance. So it's right there. So again, it's doing the work, following what opens when we set intentions, and be able to connect when we feel ourselves influenced by an old energy. Learn to turn towards it and um, find out what is communicating, or do whatever process to clear it or rewrite it. It's what else is behind your question?
Well, it's kind of still alive, I would say, in the consciousness, but it seems as though as we're talking about, is like
Oh, the
clinging,
patriarchy.
clinging to these
Yeah.
old templates, these old paradigms of, wait, no, you're supposed to, be in control or in line, and that's just like, why, like there's this burgeoning freedom within the consciousness of humanity now, where we're speaking up, we're using our voices. And I wanted a forum where these types of words and exchanges could happen, and people could feel the inspiration within themselves to love the feminine, love the earth, love your daughter and your wife, and the human expressions of life and creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like having guests like yourself come on really helps to. I feel compelled to do more, and to be part of its inspiration wave
Mm-hmm.
that is healing in its ability to allow pure expression.
Mm-hmm.
So
And that's one of the things for us to look at right now, because the internet has created a vehicle for crossing boundaries and sharing ideas. And that's not been able to be stopped for the most part. So it's breaking down walls. And the other thing, and with regard to your question about it, do I see it happening, is in the context that a lot of people miss, in that the whatever you want to call it, the old voices, the patriarchy, um, dis, discord, whatever you want to call it, is more visible now. And that's what the light that has been generated up to this point has accomplished through the media, through the song circles, through what is happening that you might not see in the regular media, but it's very strong out there otherwise, is is that the information, the ability to see through again the facade of an old way of being, fighting for its life in a sense. So it's not pretty to watch, but that's when you want to turn off your TV once in a while and turn on your podcast
there we go.
and see what else is happening out there.
Absolutely. There's so much within us that is, most people don't have the capacity to go on CNN and talk about the things that maybe we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So this new media, as you mentioned, and the freedom to just do this anytime you want, and express yourself. And I feel like that is perfect for this time. And yeah, the internet coinciding with this expansion of consciousness, both divine masculine, divine feminine, and also the balance, the unity within the both.
Mm-hmm.
So good job for being one of those great voices, and for allowing and creating that sacred space for women to come and feel that expansion.
I feel like we're all being really, really supported in all of this too. So that's very helpful when it, this past year and a half or whatever has been an opportunity and a situation where people went a lot of different directions emotionally around it, and to be able to find a way to see that maybe this is something that has actually helped people to stop and reflect. There's a lot of going on, people coming, people going, um, but I think it has a divine hand
Mm-hmm.
in there, that we are not separate from that divine hand. We are doing it at this level.
Absolutely. And do you feel new souls coming in have a certain, maybe a different frequency or a larger capacity to live in this new paradigm?
Absolutely. I've been able to watch that both in my own children and grandchildren. And I can look back and see, well, it was kind of like what I was saying earlier about when I came in, and though a lot of us got lost, but there was something different, and a great number of the children came through. And I think that that's gradually, generation after generation. Now it's getting more and more pronounced. The children, so many of them are coming in so bright, so expanded, and working with past life regressions and children, and knowing that children come in and they'll talk to their parents about their other mother and father and the other places that they live. And there's so much research done on all this now. So it's it's there to be looked at if anybody wants to see it. And
Yeah, we just keep going. You
yeah,
know, there's no real death. It just seems to be a continual transformation and new directions and new lessons to be learned. And yeah, I'm so thrilled to be a dad and to hear and see what the other side might want to share with me through my daughter, and my wife is pregnant, so it's see how her being is affected by having the soul inside of her and what she's had to surrender to, or yeah, to go in the new directions. So I'm proud to uh, be someone that welcomes new souls. In fact, some of the downloads I've gotten in the past was, "You're one that should be breeding." You know, like kind of here's an opportunity to shift the dynamic. And yeah, how much do you feel one individual has on the collective, like in order to upgrade or to elevate?
huge.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, yeah. Um, that's one of those mythologies that is easy to mentally hold on to. But every time that someone accomplishes something in their own healing, there is something called the field, or the collective field of consciousness and energy, that that healing, that resonance, that higher resonance goes into. So that's the extent of that being done on a conscious level, or even on an unconscious level, has been going on. I mean, there was such strong predictions that we would have finished ourselves before this time. 2000 was the marker, or 2012 or whatever. We were not supposed to have made it, and we've gone way beyond that. And there's just been a huge shift in the energy field, and the more we use our intentions, again, whether it's individually or in groups, there's a lot of science around that now, how people have metered and monitored the energy field in a certain area where people came together and did some very strong meditations around nonviolence or peace in a particular part of the world or something like that, and something tangible happens. So as we learn about energy and energy fields, you and I right now are in each other's energy field. We have these big fields of energy, and our DNA is in that, and our whole soul history is in that. Sometimes that's called the Akash, or the Akashic record. It's all there. And so we are carrying so much more than we realize. And again, that brings me back to remembrance, because we have tremendous wisdom to draw upon right from within ourselves. And as we open and learn, and as we turn our intentions inward, we can bring it forward, because it's nonlinear. It's a quantum dynamic. So it's not something that's buried way, 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 way down. It's right there. And the more we have intention around it, the more it comes to the surface.
Mm. I just love listening to you speak about this stuff. Really, you say it in a way that I can really understand
Oh, good.
and feel
Okay.
and know. So nice, very articulate. I wanted to talk a little bit more about intention, and that is a word that is widely used. And maybe from your perspective, how do we is intention an asking? Is it a projection into the future? Is it a need and a want? How would you describe it?
It can kind of be all those things. Intention with focus is one of the keys. Um, it's like for um, personal healing, healing through consciousness, that takes intention, it takes focus, it takes consistency. You're rewriting templates when you're doing that. Um, so it's kind of like the phrase meditation has just become a way of life. It's a way of walking in the world, and the more we do it, the more we answer our own questions and get a sense of how it works. It's not a bad idea to, if you haven't put an intention out there, to say something like, or something better, or that which is for my highest good, because we don't know what we don't know, and that unknown is something to really honor and have fun with.
Mm. Yeah, and truly embrace. I love
Yeah,
that. Mm.
the mystery.
Yeah. How would you go about talking to somebody who has a lot of fear with regard to their voice or, some sort of trauma? How would you kind of allow that person to open up and to maybe help them with some intentional work towards help healing?
Well, certainly my choir just does that. It's the nature of the choir. So having the material that does that and their intention. Um, so I guess what my role is to create situations where people come back to their breath, start with the breath, and connect in with themselves. I often have them connect in with the earth for grounding and connection, and then just through the relaxation of the body, um, offer something, whether it be a song that they can sing, if it's through hypnotherapy. I've talked to them about their intention, and I'm very careful to use their languaging in that regard, not putting my symbols onto theirs or something like that, because it creates a place that they can trust, and it also aligns with what the intention is like a key to a pathway, an aspect of being, and that is so giving them a energetic framework to be able to let go and just experience based on the intention that they arrive with.
Mm. It sounds like such an easy transition to happen with when the intention is aligned and the space is held.
Mm-hmm. Those are the
Nice.
keys.
Wow. That's a beautiful formula.
It's a good formula for parenting.
Mm.
It's with the hypnobirthing and the sacred birthing. It's foundational to teach these concepts and give tools for practicing those concepts, so that the people I'm working with become the masters of those, and recognize and register in their bodies that they can do this, that they can relax in case of birthing, let the body do what it knows how to do.
Mm.
Let the voice do what it knows how to do when we get out of the way.
Can we talk a little bit more about your sacred birthing and your hypnobirthing
Hmm.
to somebody who, honestly, I've heard about it, but you're the first practitioner that I've ever spent any significant amount of time with. So, can you describe the process and
Hmm.
what is exactly happening? Are we rewriting some of these old programs about, you know, like you were just mentioning,
Hmm.
kind of seems like we're fighting against nature versus just allowing the body to work and to relax. How do you go about describing a process?
Well, I start by just a brief introduction of what took me in that direction. I was already a hypnotherapist and teaching at the hypnotherapy school in Oakland, and Marie Mungan, of who developed hypnobirthing, started coming west to teach her courses, and so she wanted to teach out of our school, and so I went inside myself and I asked, "Is this a tool that I'm going to want in my basket?" And my two daughters came into my mind's eye and said, "We're going to want your help, Mom." So that was my yes.
This is before they were born. I would just your two daughters.
Not before my two daughters were born, but
Oh,
before their children were born.
I understand.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, um, yeah. So I took that turn, and so I've touched upon some of the things, the the teaching about what birth is, the nature of it. Um, I remember I used to, when I was doing this in Santa Cruz, I would have an evening presentation of what is this, and just a free demonstration and presentation. And I remember one evening this young man saying, we got to be real about this. It's going to be traumatic. And so there's an interesting thing that he was carrying, and there's lots of reasons why he felt that way. He probably had a traumatic birth, but the media shows birth as pretty traumatic. And in the course of the courses, you get to watch people letting those go. Um, and because those are bound to create the very thing, because we're very powerful. It's, again, the intention. We can't help but create what we believe through, because we create these lenses and our bodies respond as if it's true, which is why so much illness is out there, because we've just gone so far out of connection with who we really are, and our capabilities and ways of looking at the world and ourselves primarily. So many people have such low self-esteem, and we're magnificent beings. So it's not easy, and I'm not putting it out there as saying it's easy to climb out of there, but it's worth it and it's beautiful. So the course is designed for the birthing woman and her partner or her birth companion, whoever that might be. And so the couples are taught practices, meditations, touches, uh, concept, visual pictures are given, movies. I show movie after movie so that they can imprint with beautiful birthing. So it just starts to shift. It's like the caterpillar and the cocoon. It's got to turn into gelatin before it can turn into this beautiful creature. So we all get to do that, and it's not necessarily comfortable, but it's well worth it. And so I get to watch them, and so that in the course of the series, they go home and they practice, and as much as they practice, that's how deep the practices go. And I use the yogis as a reflection. I mean, how do they levitate? Some of them, and how do they do this, and how do they do that? And it's pure intention and focus, and they put a lot of time and energy into it, and they are generally a part of a community that lives their lives that way. So that's huge, because we've stepped out of the village. And so my practice, my search took me to the indigenous to study, and I got a lot out of studying indigenous birthing, indigenous multidimensional connecting and communicating with the unborns, and it's all there to be gathered. So hypnobirthing has all of that. You know, some of the journeys that I take the people through are for clearing, for learning that they have the capacity to control their bodies to the point of, with a metaphor and a visual of a gauge inside of them, a pain gauge. They can turn that gauge through their intention to off or turn it down. Um, so it's giving their bodies back in many respects in the context of what we are designed for. Actually, we aren't designed for traumatic births, um, and but the cultural imprinting is the strongest. That in their own birth experience.
Mm. That's a lot of chapters to rewrite there, I guess, for the average, I guess, American woman who or couple who goes into the hospital, for instance, to have a birth, which is completely not a natural situation. So I feel like the space that you hold is sacred in and of itself because we're not entering into this westernized culture that's like a treadmill, versus like this is the most important part of this new soul's journey. And man, the trauma can start so early on, and then having to, like you said, kind of claw and dig your way out of that is kind of a lifelong journey. So it sounds like the best way to do it is to have it being a sacred environment from the beginning, and then ushering that new soul into the supportive network of the tribe and the village.
Yeah, and we have some of that here to tap into. But I also want to say it's not that it can't happen in a hospital. What I've, because of my years of working in Santa Cruz, where there's a midwifery school, and there's doula schools, and it was kind of a right place for me to land and start this. And they had a birth center, but when my clients would come to me and talk to me about going on a tour of the birth center, and I was still hearing them say they've been told that it's going to hurt like hell. We'll know that you are ready to come into the hospital when you walk through those doors doubled over in pain. I mean, you can change the environment, but if you haven't changed the consciousness. So over the years that I was doing this there, I got to watch some of those changes because they started seeing different births. And so I started being put in through this one birth center. My brochure was put into every birth packet of everyone that went in there, and the nurse midwives there, we got together and talked. And so, change can happen. But even if that is not as open a situation, say like here on Kauai, if you go in prepared, if you go in and you've done your work and you have your confidence and you have your simple birth plan, and if you have a doula, then they tend to step back. So that's a little secret to know, that they aren't quite so into managing every breath and everything and pushing. And but the preparation, the personal preparation of the birth mother and the couple, that they hold a field of energy, of confidence, and they're working together. And so they create their birth bubble, as what we call it, the birth bubble.
I feel as though Denise and I really do want to create a birth bubble. And it seems like it's for the man anyways, it's like, how do I best serve my wife during this process? Because I know I feel as though I'm kind of up in the air. I really need to know how to support my wife. And because I mean, this isn't something I was taught. You
Right.
know, I want to learn. I have a desire to learn. And how would you educate me and Denise through this process?
Well, the course is that.
So this is a course I can take, or you
It
take
is
me on, or how
it
does
is a
this go?
it is a course. Whether you we have the Sacred Birthing School here
Okay.
now, so Barbara Essman is the head of that, and I don't work through that anymore. I mean, I'm affiliated with it. I do consultations. I'm not really doing. I don't have a shingle out to do. Taj is a hypnobirthing instructor. I will help people if it fits my moment. Um, but doing this is a really good thing for me to be doing right now because I miss it and I love it and I want it. I would love to pass that on to some of the younger,
Mm.
the doulas. They
Mm.
let me know that they were interested and maybe the timing wasn't quite right for them. So when I get back in October, I'll put it out there again to teach that. But it is a course. It is that is can be sufficient in itself to bring you into that bubble, that the beauty and the coherence and the sacredness of birth. And if it's not enough, I've always, do one-on-ones to take people through anything else that might be in the way. Um, I mean, I have a lot of stories I could tell you that have to do with amazing things, and some of them have to do with connecting with the unborn, which we can do, and through the mother, not through me. Maybe some people can do that, but that's not me. I can just help you get there to that
Mm.
connection.
Sounds pretty cool for
Yeah.
sure.
Well,
Sounds very exciting.
that came out of studying Sobonfu and Malidoma Somé and their South African teachings and hearing about the hearing rituals that every woman goes through.
Boy, there's a lot I don't know. I really want to tap some information here. Yeah, I feel like I honestly I feel like I'm lost in a way. I mean, if I'm just going to be honest, like I'm so happy to have you here because I didn't know what I don't know, you know. And
Hmm.
uh, geez, yeah, please go on about how like these various cultures. How do we connect to the unborn? Is there a mode? What is the listening?
Well, the listening is connected to the intention,
Okay.
and it's just starting. You just start talking to that
Okay.
soul who is hovering around right here to be talked to. I'm not saying that to 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 say tritely that it's something that's just going to be there, but the way that I do it with a person is to take them into a very deep place, and then it's ask permission, ask permission of the soul to make a connection, and see what happens. Without any attachment to what it might look, hear, feel like to get a response, and just let the soul know your intentions. Let them know that you feel lost and you want to find your way to connect. When I take somebody in and we ask permission, then we call and we always get it,
Mm.
but it's
Wow.
important to ask. Um, and then we call in the soul of the unborn, and something happens every time.
Mm.
And for some women, it's to find out why they didn't want to have a child,
Mm.
why they're not going into labor, and there's always a reason, and that connection brings the solution, brings the answer.
Mm.
And there's always a lot of tears because it's a healing. It's a letting go of something that had had a hold on them and had an impression on them that
Mm.
they could let go.
So through hypnobirthing, you can really do a lot of healing even before the soul comes through. Um,
Oh yeah.
and like, how soon into the pregnancy do you feel like that connection can, or even before pregnancy?
Certainly, preconception is a whole nother thing that, and there are stories that there's the book Sacred Birthing is,
Yeah, it's right over there.
okay.
Just have to read it, I guess.
Yes, that's, there you have it. There are stories. And so, yes, conscious conception, that's where that comes in, and making, I have other books I can tell you about, baby whispering, and the stories. A man wrote that book. It's absolutely gorgeous. And the hypnobirthing book, those are all books. The hypnobirthing book doesn't go so much into the connecting with the unborn soul, but we are only limited by our thoughts.
I love that. I have kind of a deep question that's been stirring in my mind. When you talk about souls coming in, where are these souls coming from? Like, what exactly is the nature of a soul? Is it an energy source? Is it an intention? And then how do we attract these souls? Like, are they searching for us? And are we just divinely placed in the hand of the divine? How does this go? I'm asking a lot of different questions here, but what is a soul, and why choose an embodiment?
Those are really, that last one is a really big one. And I'm not going to be able to answer it completely. But my words can't touch it so much. But we are all enlivened. Our souls are embodied in these bodies. Our souls are not limited to these bodies. Our souls, saw a picture, a very simple picture. It was like a sun with rays coming off of it. And the sun was the soul. And then there's all these rays. So our soul can be in multiple places, multiple dimensions, multiple time, all at the same time. And there can be another embodiment of that soul. So what is a soul? It's a part of the one. It's a part of that which has no words to describe it. Some people use the word God, some people use the words creative source, but we're a part of it, and we've always been, and we will always be. What are we doing here? Some really important work. We're here because we couldn't wait to get here to do it.
It is truly a blessing to be a human at this time.
Yes.
100% agree with you. And I just feel like you are a perfect person to allow these souls and to create the space for these souls to feel safe, to express their infinite nature.
And so
cool.
are you.
Whoa. I think we're great reflections. Would you want to share some songs? Do you feel that you'd like to do that? Or a song?
Well, the song that was singing through me on the way here is not one of my own. I have mostly songs that from my hypnobirthing and my voice weavers and so on. But the one that was singing is one from Sweet Honey in the Rock. And it goes like this. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of the ancestors. We are the spirit of love. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We're daughters of dust and sons of great vision. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We're lovers of life and builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We're makers of peace and wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of the ancestors. We are the spirit of one. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are one.
Thank you so much.
There are Blessing Way CDs out there that are full of, more chant-like things. Your body knows the way. Hey, hey. Your body knows the way. Hey, hey. Your mother and her mother and her mother before you, bringing new life to be born, bringing new life to be born. Songs about opening and songs about relaxing, songs about welcoming and yeah.
But if you're a soul, you probably would want to hear these songs as you're coming down in the portal, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine hearing it through the belly?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
These are all songs that I would like to learn and sing. Is it okay for men to sing songs to their wives?
Oh, absolutely. Free the singers and all of us.
Awesome. I love singing and I love chanting and mantras, and it would be really good. I always love learning new songs, especially ones at this particular time in my life where it's like, yeah, use the voice, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
and man, when you sing, I feel things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's such a beautiful awakening inside to have these inroads into the self and to actually feel what it feels like to become one.
Mm-hmm.
Just through the sound,
Mm-hmm.
and through the intention.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah,
mm,
and just toning
mm,
is beautiful, whatever vehicle that you use for along with that, or imagine being held in the ocean of the womb and have those sounds coming through and on a consistent basis, and then being welcomed with those same sounds. What a homecoming
mm,
for that soul.
I know with Grace we went to a Sonatum Car concert, and she's a beautiful Kundalini yoga chanting light, and so she was in Denise's belly during that time, and we also did a lot of chanting while she was pregnant. Although we need to step it up a notch here this time around, where I don't feel like we're chanting nearly enough as a couple. And yeah, there's are there any specific songs that maybe a baby would want to hear from the mother and the father? I know you just sang two that were just gorgeous.
Hmm. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of my babe. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of my babe. I am opening, I am opening, I am opening, I am opening. And you can make up your own.
I'm rising up like a phoenix from the fire. Come on, brothers and sisters, spread your wings and fly higher. Rising up Like a phoenix from the fire. Come on, brothers and sisters, spread your wings and fly higher.
Are you singing in the choir now, in the Sacred Earth Choir?
No, I do singing with some ayahuasca ceremonies,
Okay.
which I always feel the connection of the divine feminine during those ceremonies, and the medicine songs that are shared are truly beautiful.
Yeah, so you've got that, but you can, to personalize it and
Mm.
talk to the soul, to
Yeah.
welcome the soul. Yeah.
Mm. Thank you so much, Maronda, for joining me on the podcast.
Oh, this is
I'm sure we
good.
could go on and on. I feel like we're in a nice vibration right now for sure. Mm. So how can people get a hold of you, or how would you like people to find you?
Well, I have a phone and I've got an email. um, yeah, so I can offer that. My phone number is 831-227-9922. That's 831-227-9922. And I have an email, which is without the ma. It was before the ma got onto my name. It's Rhonda, Ronda, Rice at hotmail.com. So RONDARICE at hotmail.com. Yes, and know that I'm about to go traveling. So my connection is questionable some of the time.
Sure. Well, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on the Mantra Dad podcast today.
Oh, what a pleasure for
Look
me.
forward
Thank you.
to having you on again. And I feel as though I would, if you're open to it, maybe you'd like to be at the birth if we're here in Kauai. I know that's probably a lot to commit to, but possibly it would be nice to have some of those songs being sung during the birthing ceremony.
Right. Well, you come drop by and I'll hand you a CD of
That
those
sounds
songs.
good too.
We'll start there.
Perfect. All right. Thank you
But
so
thank you
much.
for that thought and that invitation. Who knows?
And if you like what you've heard, please subscribe, share, comment, send to your friends. Thank you to my guest, Maronda Rice, and visit mantradad.com for all podcast episodes. Aloha from
Aloha.
Kauai.